David, thank you so much for coming tonight. I'm really excited about this interview. You know, it's funny, I've been interviewing composers for 2 years now, and I love the way I come across them. In this case, I was at a technical conference and ran into Anna Barnaca, who is a very talented young woman who is an astrophysicist by day, but also has a company based on earbuds that check your vitals called Mind Mics, which is quite something. And had a wonderful luncheon with her recently and talked about things. And she said, you have to meet this fellow David because this Black Hole Symphony, she talked all about the Black Hole Symphony, and it was quite impressive. So I have to say, that is just the most amazing thing. And the way she described it, you could take something like 80 octaves of signal from the universe and then compress it into our hearing range and come up with the symphony. But of course, I'm going to let you talk about all that. Let me first introduce you more formally. So you are directing, based in Boston, you're directing the Multiverse Concert Series. It's a project that combines music and science and live performance. And I understand it's very collaborative. I look forward to hearing more about that. In 2020, you were the first guest composer at Fermilab, the Fermi National Accelerator Laboratory. You're now the resident composer at MindMax Biotech. You're the assistant professor at Berklee College of Music and visiting professor at Worcester Polytech Institute. You compose electro-symphonic music, a fusion of classical and electronic styles, interweaving influences from songs, symphonies, pop, rock, electronica. And your Black Hole Symphony, which is an orchestral journey to the heart of a black hole galaxy, has recently been featured at the Charles Hayden Planetarium, Museum of Science, Boston. Welcome, David. So nice to have you here today. I'm so glad you're here.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
Meet you, Andrew.
Well, I have to say, this is kind of a monumental one for us because it's the last in the series that was funded by the Jenks Center. After this month, I'm going to be on my own, and I encourage people to go to acomposerscorner.com where you will see this interview. David will be posted later, and there'll be others as well in the future. So Hillary and I are going out on our own after this, but it's also a pretty special one because of just the nature of what you do is just phenomenal. I'm very excited about it. But I'd love to find out a little bit more about, as you probably know by now, I'd love to find out more about, how David Ibbett came into the world. What kinds of things were you impressed upon as a child? What was your experience as a child? Were you in a musical family, or how did music touch your life? And of course, at some point, I'd like to find out how you got to where you are today and made that very seminal decision to invest your life in music, and in your case, music and science in a very cool way.
Well, so I live in Burlington, Massachusetts now,
Uh-huh.
but I'm from the middle of England. Grew up in Coventry, and my parents are in Nottingham now.
Ah,
And it's been quite the journey to end up here. I mean, the simple answer to the question is that my mum is a piano teacher, and my
okay.
dad's a polymer scientist. So
Ah, that's the
um,
merge.
I grew up, around it, but the science came much later, at least into my work.
Huh.
I there's pictures of me as a baby playing on the piano,
Uh-huh.
and that's that's always been at the heart of music for me. Is
Mm.
my old piano, which I still my mum gave it to me when I moved over here. So I have my it's about 100 years old. This Witten piano that they don't make
Really?
them anymore. It's not that it's particularly valuable. Pianos kind of wear out after around
Yeah.
about that time, but it's a
Yes.
unique sound, and it's sort of mellow and muted, and I do all my writing on it, and
Oh, really? Wow.
it's been my musical companion, through the whole journey.
Uh-huh.
um I've always been sort of moved and intrigued by music. So
Hmm.
I've got memories of um you know playing a piece and then taking it apart, changing the order, or taking my
Uh-huh.
favorite part and then building on top of that, trying to figure out what makes music tick. And then you run that in reverse and you're composing.
Yeah.
uh it took me a while to get the confidence to
Hmm.
really make anything on any scale.
Yeah.
um but at some point around about 15, I think, I was sitting in the back of the orchestra. I was playing trombone in Nottingham Youth Orchestra, and
Hmm.
trombones, they have a lot of rests. So
Yes.
120, 200 bars rest.
Oh my
Uh,
God.
so you're listening to the exposition,
Hmm.
and you hear the symphonic themes unfolding, and then you're going to come in at the absolute sort of climax, the coda or the codetta,
Yeah.
with the big notes. So you get to know the landscape of a big sort of symphonic piece. And
Mm.
my yeah, somewhere at that point it just entered my heart that I wanted to write these big pieces. And
Wonderful.
um that was 15, and I just premiered my first symphony uh age 36. So
Aha.
it takes a while. It
Yeah.
takes a while to
What was the first piece you played publicly that you wrote?
um, that would be um Macbeth at school, in the school theatre band. And that was collaborative. We had a sort of brass and wind group, and we had to come in and out, around the play. And it was trying to work with the director was instantly a challenge.
Oh my God.
We'd turn
Yeah.
up. She'd change. I mean, I would have been about 18 at the time. She changed her mind about which bits they were doing, so we sat there the whole rehearsal, did nothing, and then went home. And um, the head of music helped me coordinate a rehearsal schedule. And I've,
Wow.
I've been coordinating projects with multi-member teams ever since. I mean, I think that's part and parcel, being a composer, or probably being any
Yeah.
performing artist. You've got to.
Collaboration is a big, buzzword for you. And I'm trying to figure out too, when you were, you talk about this is the play Macbeth. You actually wrote music to Macbeth. Is that what you're saying?
There are some incidental, there's some fanfares for the royalty, and
Okay.
some dances. There's a bunch of uh sort of interludes and things that come in and out. So
And is this something that you composed?
yes,
Wow, that's fascinating. Yeah.
that that's the first one. I mean,
Hmm.
I'd done some pieces before that. It was the first one that got played,
Right, right.
was official.
How'd that feel?
Uh, just full of pride to see
Yeah,
something
yeah,
something that you've had, just kind of in your own quiet room by yourself, and
yeah.
then you unleash it on the world. And
That's wonderful. Yeah. I had written a piece for a choral piece that someone helped me orchestrate for chorus, and it was played at a church, and it blew my mind when I walked in. It was just happening. It was just, it was an amazing feeling. So did you major in music basically after that? Was music your number one?
yeah,
Yeah. Excellent.
so that was you get the advice, and they say, you want to do music, take the arts subjects,
Hmm.
literature, and a little bit of psychology, but languages. And
Hmm.
so did my bachelor's in music, master's in composition, and
Excellent.
then the PhD in electronic music. So,
Ah, okay. And then how did science come into the picture?
well, music, I think, is at its strongest when it engages with people and with the world.
Right.
And so, I can remember being a student, um, feeling, lost and sort of groundless in all different ways at all different times, because
Sure.
you're searching for, you want to do something that's you, and it needs to
Mm,
be both. It needs to be new and special, but also connected to all the things that you love from other music. And
right.
um music, it's not it's never a selfish thing. It's out in the world
Mm,
doing
hmm.
something.
I
And
haven't thought of it
I
that way. That's interesting. Yeah.
trying to find what that really meant for me. And
Mm,
it I I was this is in my PhD, looking for a theme for my kind of final piece. And
mm,
I ended up writing this tone poem called Europa, about Jupiter's moon,
hmm.
Europa. And it has this the tone poem, has this story to it, and it's an imaginary journey through space to drill for, 'cause, you know, Jupiter's moon, Europa, and you know, it has this the tone poem, has this story to it, and it's an imaginary journey through space to drill for, 'cause, you know, it has this drill for microbial life beneath the icy surface of Jupiter's moon,
Hmm.
which may very well be there. I mean,
Yes.
it was the first time, I'd really thought we might actually find some alien microbes, in my lifetime.
Hmm.
They might be there within reach, and
Yeah.
it became very, science sort of became present, and the music can turn it into an experience and a celebration
Hmm.
um, for an audience. So that was a solo flute piece for Karen Deflate. That's she's aptly named there, Belgian a flutist, and we toured it in Europe, and got some really good um, reactions, and that piece didn't have any real sort of data in it. It was just
Hmm.
purely based on this story.
Yeah.
Uh, but I was just sort of hooked from that point. Something clicked,
Hmm.
and it
By
sort
the
of
way,
set
did
the.
you minor in astrophysics, or is this a kind of an
So
application?
I don't have any official
Yeah.
science training,
Really? Okay. Yeah.
which and I tried to get the help and the consultation I need
Exactly. Hence the
for
collaboration aspect of
yeah
it. Yeah.
for every one of these projects. And really, one of the things that motivates me is to learn uh,
Hmm.
a field that seems completely inaccessible to the non-experts.
Yeah.
I mean, yesterday I was chatting to a theoretical seismologist,
Uh-huh.
um, and I know nothing about that.
Yeah.
I know a bit about waves from
Uh-huh.
my own specialty, but
Sure.
musical waves, we express them in one dimension, you
Mm.
know, so you can express them with a single a frequency number.
Yeah.
But seismologists, they have three-dimensional waves
Of
because
course.
it's
Yeah.
a planet.
Right.
So
Right.
there's the mathematics involved. So it just sort of, here I am thinking, oh, I know a lot about waves because I'm a musician. I know nothing about three-dimensional waves. Um,
By the way,
but
have you read the book
yeah,
Vulcan by any chance? Vulcan?
this so there's a book.
Yeah, I just read this book called Vulcan. It's about La Riviere. I'm not sure I'm saying his name correctly. Was an astronomer in France and had discovered that Mercury was precessing by a very little amount. I was surprised they could do it back then, by
Yeah.
120th of a degree per century. I'm not even sure how they could get that accurate back then. And they couldn't figure out how Newton's laws worked. And sure enough, it turns out that they thought there was a planet in between called Vulcan, but it turns out that Einstein came
Okay, yeah,
along.
I know that.
And
Yeah, yeah.
Einstein came along and said, no, no, it's all expressed by space-time, by the warp in space that the sun
Mhm.
evokes. It's really quite fascinating. Anyway, I'm digressing, but I would love to get into some of your work. But before I do that, I have to ask you, what is behind you there? That's marvelous image there behind you.
So those are my cells.
Okay.
They're not actually my cells, but they're
No, you might be in
I
trouble if they were.
um well, I guess maybe a bit oversized, but
Yeah.
that- I keep at least one image from every project, and they're kind of on the walls around my house if you ever want to come visit.
So
But
are those real cells of something that
those
are
are real
colorized?
cells. Yeah, they're from I think they're from Macau. They're
Okay.
from a project called Cellular Dance, which we did just
Uh-huh.
before COVID. It's a
Excellent.
ballet all about cells, and they can stain them and tag them so the different parts glow in different colors
Yeah.
with this cool microscope.
Fascinating.
Do you know what the red stuff is?
Mitochondria, maybe?
The powerhouse of the cell. There we go.
And it looks like you got some nuclei splitting apart in one of those. Is that I've so long since I've done this. I don't really have no idea how cells work even anymore. But yeah. So let's get to we have a whole body of work here that we're going to have to figure out what not to show people tonight because it's just so extensive. So let me first get to a screen. Let's see. And this is a screen with many options on it. So perhaps we could start with branches. This is the first one you did stateside back in
Right.
2015. Do you want to give us a little background on it?
Yeah, this is one we could maybe do in the first minute or two.
Okay.
Um, yeah, because it's coming right out of my. So I was really trying to figure out how to put together electronic music, dance music with chamber music and some new
Hmm.
music, and I met this fantastic ensemble transient canvas, shortly after I moved to Boston with my wife. My wife's from Kansas, by the way, which is the reason I'm here.
Excellent.
And they spent a lot of time with me. We did a residency at Avalok Farm, and this piece is the result. It's it's actually one of my most played pieces because they're very active touring it. So marimba,
really?
bass clarinet, really unusual ensemble, and I got to record them and make some interesting textures. Well, you can see.
And why is it called Branches?
It's to do with the way the sounds progress over the course of the piece.
Okay.
So,
excellent.
You'll see. Well, I'll let it speak for itself.
Okay.
I'll mute.
Videography work on this. Was this done by some friends of yours or the college, or how was this done?
Oh, that was by the ensemble. They had Vic Firth company come out and do the videos. Yeah, they're a wonderful duo, Matt Sherrick and Amy Advocat. They're just commissioning and premiering so many composers, and they helped me get my start in Boston, and they're just it was such a welcoming musical scene to get involved with. And I really didn't know anybody when I came over here.
Wow.
I was I actually came over on a boat. So
how did you connect with these people specifically?
I was going to a lot of concerts. I mean, new music is it's a small scene, different scenes, and you hit it off with certain people, musicians, composers, and I went to see them, and we just got chatting, and they were really interested in the electronics.
Excellent. Yeah.
And that's still a big part of my practice.
And they're quite talented. That was really wonderful.
Well, that's for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So backstory on this one.
So this is almost a symphony. This piece. It's with fantastic pianist Sofia Samaya-Vaztek, who I met her early on. Shortly after moving to the States, and we did a whole series of pieces together. She's a virtuosic pianist, incredible technique and sensitivity to the the expression of the music. And this is really a science piece, Beauty from Nothing. It's about the beginning of the universe and how to get your head around all of this stuff, matter and energy. Of course, that's the same thing, coming from nothing, and how there's no center to the universe as far as we know. Well, there doesn't need to be one, and so it follows this this kind of narrative from I tried to figure out how could you represent the quantum fluctuations that very early on kind of created these irregularities in the universe.
Wonderful. I have to tell you that, my father told me when I was a little boy that, the universe can go on forever, or does it? He said, imagine being in a rocket ship and just going forever and never getting to the end of it. And then he said, imagine getting to the end of it. What's outside of it? That just blew my mind. Even to this day, I get goosebumps thinking about, what is this thing that we call the universe, this thing we call existence? Who are we? What are we doing? How does this even work?
What a great thing to make music about, right? It's
exactly.
I mean, we can't answer it in full. I mean, the scientists, I mean, that partly it's the trying to get your head around it and sort of failing. And the other thing is delving into the science and realizing we do actually know a lot more than we did, when I was born.
Oh my God. This James Webb telescope is just breaking all kinds of new rules and boundaries, and it's fascinating.
Anyway, yeah. Well, this moment anyway is we've had the creation of matter, and we're in a dance of light and energy, and we're kind of getting ready for the emergence of life in the universe.
All right, let's play this then. This is part
piano
3.
Electronics piece.
Okay. That is great. And she's so talented. I could tell that's a great pianist right there. Now, can you always play the things that you write, or sometimes you go beyond your capability, but know that someone out there can do it?
Yeah, well, it's so I'm a pianist, but I'm not that kind of pianist.
Oh, that was amazing. As a pianist myself, I'm going, oh my God, that's wonderful. Yeah, that's a beautiful piece. Yeah, that's great.
I do sometimes play my own music, but I don't think I'll ever be able to play that. I mean, there's only we're all so limited, and I feel that sometimes. We have to pick something and work hard at it. And
exactly. And the beauty of collaboration is you take all these wonderful skills. For example, I'm not a orchestrator, I'm not a sound engineer, but I have friends that do that for me. And it's just, and I don't even write my own music. I have people write it for me after I play it. But I'm fascinated by all the different skills that you're bringing to the table and how it's working. So that's beautiful. Okay, so the next thing we had on the lineup here, the fall for the cellular dance is
yeah, sure. Next? That's with the cells behind me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it is. Okay, excellent. Now, you notice the white line at the bottom. It's not quite fully loaded yet. So let's just talk a little bit about while that thing is loading. I'm not sure why that didn't load, but so tell us a little bit more about this. Are you motivated by how cells operate, and then what's your the theme behind this, and how is it related to cells, and how do they inspire you here?
Just um, well, this is a collaboration very closely with a scientist, and excuse me, I've been really trying to work with a lead scientist or a team of scientists um, from when we did this project. Well, so yeah, the Fold, it's part of a ballet called Cellular Dance, and it's a
Mm-hmm.
close collaboration with Alexey Varaksa, who's a cell biologist, molecular biologist at UMass Boston. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I met him. He came to one of our concerts, years ago, and we just hit it off and started talking. He works on this thing called gastrulation, which I hadn't heard of, but it's something we've all done. It's
Really?
something that you do as you go. You're a ball of cells, and they're all the same, and
Oh,
then
right.
it folds in on itself,
Uh-huh.
relates, and you get three layers of cells, which all become the different layers. Let's see, ectoderm, mesoderm, endoderm. Still got it.
Mm. Fascinating.
So,
Fascinating.
we worked to create this ballet in three movements, and the last one's called the fold. And it is really telling the story of this folding. The cells, they multiply, they get to this critical mass, they signal each other with these special molecules that Alexei
Mhm.
is studying, and then they go for it, and the fold happens, and usually it happens, perfectly. The cells seem to dance together. They know where each of their neighbors is, even though there's no nervous system.
That is
You know,
amazing. You know, the
so
whole process of life is fascinating. In fact, I think that we'll just have to play this thing and hopefully it'll catch up. But I will say this, I have a theory that I think AI will take over. Eventually, we will be AI. And then someday, maybe 100,000 years from now, AI will design a new kind of being, kind of like us, in terms of replication, and just figure out a way to design another living entity that's this complex. It's just fascinating to think about how this is even happening. I mean, I do believe in evolution, but I sometimes wonder, how our initial seed was designed, and just anyway, fascinating. Okay, so let's click on this and see if it catches up with itself. I hope it does. Fascinating, fascinating. So, this is real footage, I assume. These are not animations. This is actual footage, right?
Oh yeah, all of the visuals there are there were some simulations and
Uh-huh.
some actual time lapse footage.
So, do you know offhand what those cells were from?
There was one a sea urchin there,
Ah,
but many of them are from Drosophila, the fruit fly.
okay. Yes,
Uh,
yes. Fascinating. Okay,
they do
excellent.
a lot of work on Drosophila. They're good. They're good to they can grow a lot of them and uh, genetically engineer them to have a certain trait and then see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to visit the lab and check out all the cool mutations.
Now,
Um,
do you just randomly, I'm not randomly, but do you just out of the blue call a scientist and they just like, how do you approach them? Or do they come to you and knowing who you are and say, I want to collaborate with you? Or is it both ways?
it's a real mix. So
Yeah.
we get new project ideas coming in.
Hmm.
Um, there's scientists have a mission to share their work, and often they're really passionate about doing that, and it's hard to reach a general
Sure.
audience. It's
Oh,
hard
yeah.
to go kind of beyond the circles that you're in. So music is a tool and
Yeah.
uh, for sharing things.
Hmm.
So it's often a great match, and we hold the concerts regularly, and we meet people all the time,
I
and
imagine.
uh,
Sure. Oh, that's wonderful.
things. But sometimes I need something like it's a big topic like Mars, which is the current one we're working on,
Ah.
and then I just write to people and see if they have got the time and the inclination to collaborate.
And so the Mars project is something you're working on right now, Drew.
Right, Mars Symphony.
Yeah. When do you think that'll be performed? What's your timeline estimate on that? It's probably not totally predictable, but
Well, I'm we're doing for a couple of movements of it in the Boston Science Museum's Mars celebration,
ah,
which is this August. So
okay,
it's coming up, and then
excellent.
the thinking is to develop it into a planetarium symphony
Oh,
uh,
nice,
after that.
excellent, excellent. Well, getting to the symphony, this is the Black Hole Symphony first movement. I think we want to do that one next. Is that true?
Yeah, you know what? The one above is the more kind of
Oh, this one. Okay.
there's we're doing a lot of upbeat stuff at the moment. Maybe we can, if you want to do before we do black holes, let's do exoplanets if you have a moment. Uh,
Where is that
right
up in here
in the
somewhere? Or?
chronology. Let's see. Go. Oh, it's Octave of Light, top right with the blue. That's it. Because this is one we did. Maybe we could just do a minute or two.
Okay.
Um, this is an album, the first album with my music, and Science Museum of Boston made the visuals, and um, we really kind of was the larger scale project, and it's been performing and touring around New England.
And water romanza, that refers to the creation of water during the creation of the planet, or what is that?
No, so this one gets more into the data, and that's sort of been the journey of late. So
Hmm.
there's the title of the album is Octave of Light, and it's the idea that our eye can only see a small band of what is actually there, uh,
Mm.
and all of that fits into one doubling of frequency, which we musicians call one octave.
Mm.
But we can hear, up to 10 octaves of sound. So
Ah.
if you do this thing called sonification, where you take light waves and you turn them into sound waves, you have to slow them down.
Hmm.
Um, but that's just like musical transposition. Even if you take a melody and you transpose it down, it still stays major, and it'll have the same um, relationships and qualities. So
Hmm.
um, every piece on this album takes the light from an exoplanet as it passes in front of its star. uh,
Mm.
turns it into a musical chord. So this one is about the light, the spectrum, which is just another word for the color of water vapor in
Oh,
found on exoplanets, which we have spotted with
ah,
Hubble and
sure.
other telescopes. So the harmonies are drawn from, you'll see it when the video starts, this infrared light spectrum of water vapor
Hmm.
sonified into chords, and each piece is a different, either an element, a molecule, or a planet later on in the album becomes
Excellent.
a musical chord.
All right.
Water, 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 water,
Oh my God, that's probably the most colorful thing we've ever had on the show. Thank you so much. I
Oh,
remember I saw that a few months ago and I thought, this must be amazing to have. Have you ever done it in a theater where it's like full screen? That would be phenomenal.
not quite this version. That's yeah, it's on the list for sure.
Yeah.
Those are the Science Museum of Boston. They collaborated, and quite often they do the visuals and we do the music, and it's wonderful to audio visual put it all together.
Well, we're doing a house concerts. In fact, I have one coming up this Thursday night, the first one. And eventually I want to have our barn be which we have a 3,000 square foot barn, be a showcase for things like this. And maybe sometime we can have you come down and maybe even have them perform live. I don't know, but we'd love to have a fundraiser and of course pay you guys as well. But that's just fascinating. Absolutely love it. Let me ask you something. What is the instrument that you're playing? Is it a sequencer or what is it that you're working with there?
Oh yeah, it's a MIDI controller. So a lot of it is mixing the channels of electronic sound.
Mm-hmm.
I have it so some of it is pre-mixed and some of it is not.
Mm-hmm.
Different for every piece, and there are a few buttons for cueing things. I mean, a lot of that is EDM kind of electro drums. So
Mm-hmm.
it just grooves, and but there's the occasional. I like to have the occasional break, even if it is kind of beat driven
Mm-hmm.
music. So. But I'm not doing anywhere near as much as the other two. So,
Oh my God. Yeah, absolutely
no,
beautiful.
I mean, I
But
just
just
like to be on
But just so
stage.
I understand, the sounds of the universe that you're integrating into this, were they the sounds coming from your instrument, or were they mimicking the chords from the universe, or are we in the wrong? Is that the wrong piece of music for that discussion?
Oh well, it's electronics, which is electronic sound. Yeah, coming from my instrument and the computer. It's connected to a computer,
Yes. Yeah.
which is off screen.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but there's a few different effects. The main one is a delay. So Beth Sterling is the singer vocalist there, and
Hmm.
she's singing the absorption lines of water vapor,
Ah.
and the delay, copies her voice after a delay, so
Hmm.
you hear all of the lines at once after she's sung through.
That's wonderful.
Just a
Now
little
tell me
round.
about the videography. How was that done? That was amazing.
Well, yeah, you'll have to. I think in Blender. You'll have to ask the animation team. We gave
Mm.
them the music was all written first, and then we
Yeah.
gave them the everything that it was about, and
Hmm.
we recorded in front of a green screen, and they really took it and ran with it. I mean, that one is a lot of different watery textures and
Yes.
transformation, but
Motifs, especially when waves come across. It's
they
crazy.
you know
Wonderful.
they really took an artistic deep dive with that one, and
Hmm.
others it's more. There's a song about trees on other worlds,
Hmm.
which will they have a more of a literal take on it.
Hmm.
So,
So, David, we have about 20 minutes left. We can't go through all of this, but would you like to do the next one we're thinking of? Maybe this Always Sunny, or is that one we should do? Now, Always Sunny, and what's the significance on the 480/50? Is that a wavelength? What is that?
it's a depth at the Sanford Underground Research Facility,
Ah,
who work with. So I was resident composer guest composer at Fermilab, the first one. And if you don't know, they made some big discoveries in particle physics. Some of the quarks, the fundamental particles, were discovered at Fermilab, and they've
hmm.
been um, they were the world's leading particle accelerator, and that now Large Hadron Collider is has taken over that role, but
Hmm.
they instead work on neutrinos, which are these little um, almost massless particles that very weakly interact. They're called the ghost particle
Hmm.
because they come from the sun and from outer space. These neutrinos, and they um,
They're
mostly just
going through us all the time, right?
yeah. They say it
Yeah.
would have to a single neutrino would have to pass through 1 light year of lead to be guaranteed to crash into anything. They're so
Wow.
small.
Wow.
So how do you study something like that? Because they're important, even
Mm.
though they're so sort of minuscule.
Hmm.
So they build these big detectors deep underground. So there is, I mean, a lot of the time it's a big vat full of water or liquid argon designed to, catch these neutrinos. Um, and they're underground so as to avoid any contamination from other things. So
When you say
48,
always sunny, the idea is you're getting these sun particles basically even down there.
you
So
got it. That's it. That's it.
excellent. I love it. I
Very
love
good.
it.
Yeah.
All right, let's play some of this.
right.
Here we go. Black Hole Symphony.
So yeah, we're kind of going through just getting bigger scale projects, and really partnering closely with the Science Museum in Boston to connect with the audience that they have. And we really was 3 years of work to do this black hole.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Well, there's just so that last piece has data in it. There's the interference of neutrino masses, and which creates a musical rhythm. This Passacaglia, not Passacaglia, saraband. Getting my saraband with the slow 3 time. But the to tell the story of black holes, well, there's just so much going on. They're not just this cosmic vacuum cleaner. There's a whole geography of the black hole, and this system that surrounds them, these different sites that you would see if you could get close enough, and the way that they send out gravitational waves when they merge, and what they tell us about space-time. So I just wanted to tell this story, but also tell it with a rich detail of what we actually know. And with the famous picture that you can kind of see there, which is which came out as we were working on the project, which is really
is that this one or this one here?
The one above. There we go.
Yeah.
So I needed a lot of help to undertake this project, and Anna Barnatska, who's an astrophysicist and real well, she's a genius in multiple ways, and a patron of the arts. So spent a lot of time with me, teaching me about the emissions. Black holes, the event horizon is as dark, nothing can escape. But if you just go out a little bit, they glow with this incredible energy, like you can see there, and they shine brighter than the stars.
Really? I had no idea.
Brighter than the whole galaxy, because of all the friction of things that are going into them, spinning round. So this is one of the scenes from it's a symphonic, full-length symphony piece. This is the dance of the merging black holes, and the melodies that you'll hear are driven by gravity waves that haven't actually been observed yet, but similar ones have been observed by LIGO, the famous black hole merger discovery in 2017. That has a sound associated with it. You can listen to it if you convert it to sound. And a researcher, Fabio Pacucci, he simulates what would happen if even larger black holes merged, and sent me this gravitational wave plot. So that creates the melodies moving up and down. They move up and down, faster and faster as they spiral inward, along with the bending of the trombones that you'll hear bent space-time. So this is, really driven by the data in a much more direct way than the previous pieces you've heard.
Wonderful. We're just about wrapping up. How would you like to spend the last 5 minutes or so?
Um, well, I guess if you have any questions,
So yeah, David, I have a couple of questions for you. One is, I just love to find out more about how you actually go about composing. I mean, I've had different people. Some people approach it on paper. Some people approach it by humming out the melody. Some people approach it by playing on the piano or some other instrument. Uh, One guy I interviewed actually writes out like a mind map and draws arcs and curves, and where you might type in notes, he actually has shapes that he puts in and then fills in the notes later. I'm just curious as to how you go about taking this data and this interesting information and these waves and then coming together and building something out of it. How do you go about doing that?
well, it's a whole mix of different things that I've tried. I've tried and tested over the years, and
Hmm.
I try to mix it up because otherwise you get stuck. So I hate getting stuck. So I play on the piano, and that if you play the piano, the piano plays back. It resonates, and that it comes back down your hands and into your body.
Hmm.
So I always get it always gets my emotions going at the piano, but I love working with sort of found objects, which in this case is some data for a lot of these projects, because they force you down a weird pathway that you definitely wouldn't have gone down um, otherwise. Sometimes that just gives you a few notes,
Hmm.
so it's a weird chord or a weird melody that you wouldn't have written. But then what is the challenge is what can you make out of that? And I might try it at the piano, or the other thing is I love working in Ableton Live. So I have all my synths and tools and things in there. So an equal amount of the time I'll be uh, plugging in melodies and numbers into my synths and having it play back often on some sort of a loop, and I'll be
Yeah.
tweaking it and adjusting it, and then I might leave that on and then go and play the piano on top of it.
Yes. Yeah. Now you say Ableton
Eventually,
Live. I'm not familiar with that. Is that an online composing tool?
no, it's a sequencer. It's like
Okay.
Logic. It's a DAW. It's one of the main ones. It's really good for live interaction and it's so quick to just kind of throw some sounds together. So
Hmm.
I recommend it. Um, but eventually I have to turn the sound off and then walk away and let my kind of inner ear uh, do some work. And
Yeah.
often that's where the melodies come from, is I'm on a walk.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
By the way,
but
do you find your most productive time when you're walking or early in the morning or late at night? Are there specific times that you find yourself being most creative?
it used to be late night, but now I've got kids, so I can't always stay up. I can't
Right.
stay up late.
Right.
Well, I can, but then I pay for it. So
Yes.
it's um it's a whole mix. Like there's different. I find that I'm more methodical in the mornings and more creative in the evenings.
Interesting. Yeah.
So I try to find methodical things to do in the morning, and
Hmm.
then open time in the evening. But I don't know. There's no perfect solution.
Yeah. But it's great to be able to figure out how to leverage your time best, depending on your skills at any given point, because they do change over the course of the day. Now, I noticed that Joseph was listed as a videographer. Is that your brother, cousin, or
He's my
how's that?
brother. Yeah, he's an
Yeah.
animator. So
Excellent.
he's just started doing that full time. So I hope we'll collaborate some more. He's an engineer originally by training.
Wonderful.
Now he's an animator.
Now, you mentioned that Anna Barnaca is also a philanthropist, did you say, or a
Well,
patron of the arts? Patron of the
patron of
arts.
the she's been. I mean, she's on the board for Multiverse Concert
Ah,
Series.
okay.
She's very invested in art and music and culture uh,
Excellent.
in Massachusetts. So big inspiration for me.
How did you two even get together in the first place? Do you remember?
She came to a concert, and
Excellent.
uh, we just had a long chat, and she told me all about gravitational waves and gravitational lensing, and I thought, what does that mean? I had no idea.
Wonderful. Yeah. Well, and I have to thank her for introducing me to you. So this is wonderful. I really appreciate your time, David. This is very exciting. Um, the merging of science, music, and color and animation just is just a phenomenal nexus. It's just beautiful to absorb and to appreciate. So thank you for bringing this to the world. We're certainly loving it, and I look forward to watching your trajectory and seeing how things go over time. And I am so sorry I could not make that kind invitation to the Black Hole Symphony, but I will do my best to see some of your other works sometime soon. So thank you so much.
It'd be
You
nice
have a great night.
meet up sometime.
And
And
this will appear on a composerscorner.com and probably sometime next week and be live for all to view in the future as an archive. So feel free to show it to people and use it any way you wish as well.
absolutely. Well, one thing I just want to say is that if anyone has questions about composing or working with science data, it's my mission to promote this kind of work and to get others. It's hard to get started because it can be daunting, but I'm not a trained scientist. I love to learn, and I love to listen and read what I can. So if I can be of any help for anybody else who is interested in this kind of work, please send me an email. It's david@davidibbett.com, and I'm happy to help. I think that there's so much richness here, and it's a shame that more people aren't doing this kind of work.
Well, I think what you're doing is just wonderful. So I can't thank you enough. And thank you so much again. You have a great night, and I look forward to running into you again sometime soon.
Nice to meet you, Andrew. Take care.
Thank you. Take care.